So I got my orange right. I wanted to show you guys the video relatively quickly because I was pretty frustrated with how this turned out. Miscoats were key in getting this right. And so we'll take you in the video here as I begin to sand this off and start over. One thing I didn't mention as I'm sanding, as you're sanding off, make sure you're going out across the body onto the edges. You'll get a wave or a dip. So as you see me sanding here, I'll be coming back and forth. So we'll show you the process of getting this right. All right, so we sanded off the top here with some 320, and you can see as I'm sanding this top off, I get a lot of build on the paper. The build on the paper means the material I'm sanding off is getting stuck to the sandpaper. So I got to change pieces of paper a couple times. So I change paper 3 times, 320, and then move up to the open grit sandpaper. And the top is nice and clean. I then came back with some naphtha and cleaned off the top. Make sure that I got the pores clean, get out any of the dust, make sure that I get a really nice clear top. And we're gonna come back with a little bit of a custom color now. I'm gonna do 50% Angelus yellow. And 50% orange. There's so much orange in this already from sanding it off that I think if I put orange on it again, it's gonna look way orange. So the 50-50 mix should help. So we'll soak this in. Paul Reed Smith does a lot of custom colors. I don't do them all that often, but you'll see it. That's too yellow. Way too yellow. See, I'm pulling up some of that brown. We'll come back right over it with straight orange. Should darken it up. And I remember 2 coats again, 2 coats, 2 coats. That last time when I applied the orange, I didn't apply enough, which caused tons of problems. So we'll rub this in. Come back and darken up the sides. I've got the brown. We'll just dip it in some orange. Feather the sides here. Still not dark enough, but you can see the color is pulling, so it's too saturated. So we'll come back with the 50% black and brown that I made in another video. And here's where you guys always say I ruin it. Do know what I'm doing. Come back with the clean rag. That's looking pretty good. Way too much color on the top. One more dark color. And when I spray the sanding sealer on this next time, I'm going to spray it for a second or two and leave it. I'm also going to take more color out this time with the steel wool and lighten it up a little bit more. That's why I'm going back with the dark on the side here. So fold this over and just wipe this in. Got a clean rag. We'll wipe up whatever's floating around here. A lot of color on the top here. So what I'm assuming, when I sprayed that first coat in that other video, it just picked up the color and blended it to turn it into a red. Because I'm surprised I'm picking up this much color. It's like the dye is, or the wood is weeping out the dye. It's oversaturated. Looks way yellow up here. Come back with a little orange up there. Looks better. Yeah, it's definitely got to be that first coat pulled up the color, because it's pushing the color back out. So I haven't seen that really happen all that much. But that's what sort of ruined that last go around. It's looking clean. Just rub around whatever is being wept back out. Color looks pretty even. Not 100% happy with that. But it matches it up here. Wow, look at that. That was a clean rag. You just see a lot of color in here. So we'll let this sit, let the color sort of push itself back out. We'll hit it with a little bit more steel wool this time, and then fine mists of sanding sealer, and that should get us to exactly what I want, which is pretty close to this. So we'll come back with some steel wool again. We've got some fine grade steel wool, and we're going to rub this out for about 5 minutes. I am not putting that much pressure on this. Just want to get what's ever on the top before when I've done this, I've pushed really hard to try and get some more color out, but I really want to keep the orange. This helps lighten the lines on the bottom there, so to get a little bit whiter. Coloring here is perfect. We'll come back with my vacuum cleaner, clean up all the shavings. I know guys keep saying I should be using the pads, but I like my steel wool, so we're going to come back with Mohawk Sanding Sealer. This is pre-catalyzed sanding sealer. Shake up the can. I do 10 coats, and the first coat is very, very thin. Test it so it doesn't spit all over the workpiece. And that's coat 1, essentially. Let it sit for a second. And we'll come back with coat 2. Maybe you can consider this 1A. But want to put a really light coat on. Don't want it to pick up the colors and get it to blend like the last time. So again, we'll test the spray. Another light coat. That's it. We'll let this dry for a half hour between each coat. Make sure it soaks in, locks the colors in so they don't move. Coat 3, same thing. Maybe a tad heavier. But don't put on too much. You can see already the colors are starting to pop. Coat 4, slightly heavier, a little bit slower pattern. Starting to build just a little bit. Coat 5 then, same way. And I can already tell this is dry, so this is after about 3 hours. We'll go ahead and fast forward here for 6, 7, 8. Start to put on a little bit heavier of a coat. You can feel it's dry to the touch. Pretty much did this all day Sunday. There, that's the heaviest coat. A couple hours later, it's nice and dry, really popping, no red, so feeling pretty good. And then the last coat here is the thickest coat. And you can see how beautiful that orange top looks. A lot more orange than red. We'll do a half of a pattern, and we'll put this on pretty thick going back and forth. Definitely nailed the coloring here. And we'll go back in video as I review it. So I put 10 mist coats on here now, and this actually ended out perfect. It's still got the deep orange color. The real trick was those first 3 coats really locked in the color, and then I just added a little bit more each time, and that saved the perfect orange. So now it definitely looks orange. The sanding sealer looks a little bit better. It didn't pull the colors up. So I'm actually really happy with the way this turned out. Once I layer on some 2K onto this, it'll really pop. It'll give that really deep vigor. So this is just sanding sealer. I'm going to color the sides and get some 2K on here, and I'll show you this as I assemble it. But wanted to get that video up and show you what I was doing. I was pretty frustrated with the coloring, that it turned red, and this kept the orange this time. So thanks for watching, guys. We will see you in the next video.